galactic, interplanetary time travels, as you see fit to call yourselves. We salute you. Many of us come in peace. We hope that all of you do as well. This is Oliver, and I'm in a bunker I call Studio 72 in the People's Republic of Portland, Oregon. It is the 9th day of February 2025, and I just kind of wanted to do a little journal log, little video log here. A couple things that were on my mind, and the first thing I like to do is I like to kind of tap into some astro aspects. Like if anything comes up, these little books are pretty cool. So even last year's, I've still got a each day by day log, and then this tells me kind of like inner, larger kind of planetary. But it's pretty cool. These are really nice because you can do journaling. Well, I mean, small journaling, but journaling, now that I just said journaling out loud, journaling is really critical this next couple of weeks. Why do I say that? Because what they call, Julia Cameron refers to as the artist's way, the higher path to creativity, or a path to higher creativity. I always mix up her book. She's really good. I've been pitching that book for 30 years. 30 years, I think, give or take. And people sometimes come back and go, it changed my life. That's how powerful that book is. But she basically just starts out saying, if you're in a writer's block, everyone gets into, which can also be artist block, right? Writers are artists. Stating the obvious, but sometimes it's good to state the obvious. And sometimes there's people that haven't quite entered into the obvious atmosphere. So fresh squeezed organic apples. The apple juice. My God, $3.99. Wow. All right. So the aspects, the journaling, really important with Pisces, the intuition. So when I'm looking at this right now and where we've been for a week or two with the Aquarius, that's the water barrier. Even though it's an air sign up in the ether, the Aquarius is the water bearer of water. That explains the atmospheric rivers that have been pounding in through Northern California and Pacific Northwest. It looks like there's more of that happening. For those of you that don't realize or watch national weather, that's the snow machine, the atmospheric river going into these coldest Arctic freezing that we've seen in 40 years. I can't leave that part out. This Arctic, there's no global warming that's happening. Everything that Al Gore said from the 1990s was false. Okay? I hate to say that, but sorry, not sorry, really, because the truth needs to get out there. Some of these young people, even some of these boomers are still going off of Al Gore's prophetic preaching of nonsense and lunacy that the polar bears were going to be gone. They've never been greater. There's 25,000 polar bears. There were 14,000 when Al Gore said there wasn't going to be any. All this kind of crap. So this polar freezing, that record cold is creating record clouds. They have a specific record freezing cold air cloud name. All right? I don't have it in front of me. So all of that going on, all of this water happening, the fire hose across the country, that's why you're getting shellacked. I see the weather report. I'm kind of a news hound, a high information consumer. I follow it all, except for sports. I've kind of pushed sports out, so I realize it's the Super Bowl going on, and I probably won't even watch it. I don't even know if I'll watch clips today. So, God, I used to watch. I used to have favorite teams. It's just amazing how things change. But regardless, I've noticed on social media, it's just like crickets. They're showing me stuff from yesterday and last night. There's no new updates. I'm like, wait, what? So it's a big one. It's probably hundreds of millions, if not a billion people watching that football game today. And I hope Philadelphia takes it. I'm kind of sick of the Kansas City Chiefs and Taylor Swift and all that crap. But, I digress. So water. When I'm looking here, It's been waterworks. The psychic is also very emotional. I've noticed people having overwhelming emotions online. This last couple of weeks, I've seen people, content programmers, having lots of emotions, and that's powerful, really. Waterworks is powerful. When it's like in court, if you can get somebody up there to start crying, that's money. Not that I've tried a bunch of cases and gotten people crying, but I've certainly seen waterworks on the stand be very effective. So that Pisces energy is going on. So anyways, I didn't want to do the whole thing, Astro. The end of the month, okay, the new moon is in Pisces. Now, the new moon that's when military hunters are going to go out. There's less light, so you're more covert. That's my psychological analysis of it, the psyops of it, is that, interesting. It says, say hi. That's interesting. Hi, guys. I've never had it actually say hi. NEOBG, hi NEOBG, and 16.8 billion views 590 years ago. I love that. That's awesome. What a channel name. So, I don't want to do the whole Astro. I just want to try to pitch through this, but there is some really important things that I've got to get out just in my mind. And the number one is back to Julia Cameron real fast, is do the morning journal. She says that this morning journal. Now, why mornings? I struggled with mornings. I actually did them in the evening. And she says somewhere in there, that's fine if you're going to do the evenings. The morning is when you're the closest to that. Oh, good. Hey, very cool. I sub. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll sub you back if I can figure that out. It's that higher realm of, I hate to get into Carl Jung. It's such a cliche. God, I'm sorry, but Carl Jung, and really that cosmic unconscious, that spiritual synchronicities, that reference to that higher realm is where the dream world is, and from my perspectives. And so, it's one of those things where the power of our higher subconscious, it's not the ego. It's not who we think we are. It's not who you think you are. It's what's going on beyond us in a higher realm. And that's kind of the time travel dynamic, isn't there, can tie in. But that's why I mentioned the dream journaling, writing down the journals. Don't feel bad if you're having an emotional time and you're crying about things and it's emotional. That intensifies over the next couple of weeks. Now, before this new moon, I'm jumping ahead 2 weeks. There's actually a full moon next week, which is coming on now in Leo. Leo, the king of the jungle, the killer, the stalker, death also could be a crucial key time in our war risk game of the global. And that's kind of one of the things I look for, is I look for stranger dangers. I look for kind of like things that could be problematic. Not necessarily so. It's just my perspectives, my interpretation, and on how I go about that. So it's kind of interesting. Now, when I look at this right here, when I look at this particular, you're not going to be able to read that. No way. But it does the specific day. Yesterday, so we're looking on here. That's the next week. So Friday was huge. There was 15 different aspects happening 2 days ago. So then yesterday we had squared couple different planets and Jupiter. So today, the 9th, we've got the sun is doing this conjunct thing with Mercury. Mercury, remember, is the race car driver, around and around and around. I don't know exactly what all that means, but Mars is triangulation with Saturn, and then the moon is conjunct with Mars. Mars is that planet of war. What does that mean? Does it mean it's a time for peace and talk down the war? Or can be interpreted as, is this a good strategic time for war and the battle? I don't know. It's your interpretation there, to be honest, because it could go either way from what I'm reading. And then the moon is triangulating Saturn. So we have this Mars-Saturn type of energy that's happening. with Neptune is also in Pisces. So Pisces, water, water, water. You see my lily pads here. This painting behind me is underwater looking up. It's as if we were a fish, a koi fish or a frog at the bottom of the pond looking up. And I still got to finish it. These are going to actually be leaves. Those little dots there are leaves above the water level, above the pond, up in on the side of the pond. So that's really, it's been on my mind for weeks. I can feel the Pisces energy. I can feel the intuition. I have some empathic energies, and so it tends to kind of trigger and jive with me. I'm also a triple Gemini, which Jupiter, the godfather of our solar system, the gatekeeper who sucks in all these stranger dangers, all these little asteroids and whatever little projectiles and who knows all else, right? Gets sucked into Jupiter because it's so huge. That's in Gemini. That just went direct. That's huge. Mars does a similar type of click going direct at the end of this month. That's huge. Now, I would interpret that because we are at the verge of World War IV. Yes, 4. I believe World War III already happened. World War IV, I believe there's connection there with Mars. Mars, that the warrior. Right? Even the Greek mythology, all of the symbolism, some even connected to kind of darker angels type of thing. I don't go quite that far with Mars. I think Mars can be positive. I think Mars can be a positive. I do. Some people don't believe that. Some people believe that it's doomed to be evil and dark. I don't believe that about Mars, personally. I think that all things can be good and bad with these planets, but that's just my interpretation. So there was something, I guess I already said all of that. There's a lot popping here. This next couple through the full moon, there is a whole bunch of solar interaction. This is going to be a sparky, the term sparky, kind of like right, electrical wires, also can be electromagnetic energy. So that's happening. And then the end of the month, I'll probably talk about that in the next couple of weeks. The new moon, I'm more concerned and worried about the military strikes and issues like that. Now, the one thing that I wanted to mention is from this Elon, Doge, and Mars. One of the things I wanted to do was kind of do some defense for Elon and the Doge and big balls in particular. Now, I voted for big balls. I don't know about you, but big balls is all right with me. I'm looking for big balls to go in there and start kicking some ass. This is not the time for small balls and some sort of pansy with lacking courage and strength to take on deep state. We don't need small balls. If you voted for small balls, I'm sorry. It's the era of big balls. And that's who I voted for. All right. But right through here,
upwards towards anywhere from 50 to 60%, and that doesn't include the cost for subcontractors.
So that's Senator Joni Ernst.
So this is
Senator Ernst.
USAID, and that's
she's there with Doge saying, I've been trying to take on USAID for a long time. You hear that?
Money is not even going to, we love to feel good about helping starving children in your country.
Don't we want to help starving children?
It's going to pay rents in Paris.
It's not helping starving children.
It's going to support somebody's fancy dinner, to entertain whoever.
Yeah. Exactly. So, to be clear, in shutting down, which we're in the process of doing, shutting down USAID, the reason for that, as opposed to simply trying to do some minor house cleaning, is that as we dug into USAID, it became apparent that what we have here is not an apple with a worm in it, but we have actually just a bowl of worms. And so at the point in which you don't really, if you've got an apple that's got a worm in it, maybe you can take the worm out. But if you've got actually just a bowl of worms, it's hopeless.
A bowl of worms?
USAID is a bowl of worms.
A bowl of worms, you say?
An apple, you've just got to basically get rid of the whole thing. That is why it's got to go. It's beyond.
It's got to go.
So, yeah.
Well,
it's got to go.
Which is that
Big Ball says the ball of worms has got to go.
Country just demand needs to exist again. It can always be voted back into existence by Senator Ernst and her colleagues. And
totally.
The fact that isn't going to happen.
Exactly.
So they're talking about, this is from February 2nd. So that was about a week ago, right? give or take. That's when it was uploaded on the 2nd, and the whole gist of that is the U.S. aid and what's going on, and it's very telling to me that we have these Democrats that have completely flipped out. You notice their reaction about this U.S. aid and oh my God, right? This is oh my God, Elon and oh my big balls. We didn't vote for big balls. I didn't vote for big balls. Why is big balls in there cutting our funding? Oh, when big balls is the bad guy. So now we have this weird big ball derangement syndrome. Granted, I'm here to remind you, that's just an extension of the pre-existing derangement syndromes. All of them. The Trump derangement syndrome really stems from big ball anxiety. See? And this toxic masculinity that comes with enormous balls. So they are connected. There's a connection there. This big ball anxiety and this resistance against this new revived resistance against big balls of any kind is now turned into Elon derangement syndrome, Doge derangement syndrome, and teen derangement syndrome. Now it's a hatred against hackers and teens and anybody that's going through puberty who thinks electronics are cool. You guys suck now. It's been shifted. You used to be cool. Not anymore. Big Balls has screwed the script. I can guarantee that now. And you can hear them hollering. I can hear them yelling from here, and I'm indoors. So that we got to break down this anxiety, this big ball resistance, and what that's all about to attack Elon. Now, U.S. aid is nothing that you thought it was. Long pause in the script. U.S. aid was nothing that you thought it was. Senator Hurst there says that everyone thinks that it's feeding the starving children, and we think we're putting coats, we're putting Columbia ski jackets on the freezing African babies. That's not what USAID is doing. USAID appears to be a slush fund that has been used for deep state activities to subvert democracy, subvert around our existing process and legislative system of Congress and a president. This has exposed great things. Things that I can't even begin to put into words right now. It appears USAID has been funding these social engineerings of BLM, George Floyd riots, all of this stuff. So we've now, it's a shift in what appears, this is the perspectives, it should be coming down mainstream if it's true, if it proves true. This appearance will shift. It wasn't George Soros that was doing all of this skullduggery and tomfuckery behind our backs. Although he was there, the funding actually came from U.S. aid and affiliations like Octopus, right? These little octopus arms of this U.S. aid is a little drop there. Wait till they start looking into DARPA. Well, who's DARPA? You got USA and you got DARPA. Well. Tell us about Aunt DARPA and what Aunt DARPA has been doing for the last couple of years. That has been hidden in the Pentagon. How do we know the Pentagon's fucking us? Anybody? Bueller? Back there, number nine. How do we know the Pentagon's fucking us? Missing trillions of dollars. Trillions and trillions and trillions. Now remember, Rumsfeld, remember? The unknown, the known unknown guy? You know, he used to jive in these kind of QAnon little diatribes where he'd go into unknown unknowns and known knowns. We know the known knowns. We funded the unknown knowns. It's the unknown unknowns that we don't know in Iraq. Rumsfeld, remember? You might be too young for Rumsfeld. Look him up. It's important to look up old Rummy, okay? Rumsfeld announced September 10th, 2001, It's Grandma Barb. Rumsfeld, The Walking Dead. It's now the boomers don't forget. Oh, Rummy. Rumsfeld is unforgettable to the boomers and the Gen Xers. Some of the Zoomers may not know so much about Rummy. Okay. This guy, what did he do? He announced that there was missing trillions of dollars the day before so-called airplanes came in, and then some of that diesel splashed on building number 7, the World Trade Center 7. Nothing hit World Trade Center 7, but what was housing the NSA and the CIA and the Enron indictments? Remember the Enron, the shredders? The Enron indictments were in building 7 that just happened to collapse into itself. They claim it was a small fire with the sofa and diesel on the roof that melted steel core beams in building number 7. Number 7. Now, World Trade 1 and World Trade Center 2, they heard explosions. We have fire department men coming out covered in dust sand. We heard subfloor explosions. How does jet fuel create subfloor explosions? Well, you work through that one. It gets worse with Building 7. There was no subfloor explosions in World Trade Center 7 that housed all that fuckery that Rumsfeld announced the day before. $22 million was trillion, excuse me, not even billion, trillions of dollars was missing. Now, we have never been able to have a successful audit of the Pentagon, ever, in recorded history. So all you Elon haters, he just dug up Dracula, USAID, and exposed the fuckery that this is happening. Democrats are shitting their pants. You see these guys, Jeff Merkley in Oregon, did you hear him? He's running around like the house, his hair's on fire. Ron Wyden, oh my God, this is a threat on democracy and everything that's ever financed my ass in 20 years in Oregon. Listen to these Ron Wyden, Merkley, these old dinosaur clogs that are controlled by military-industrial complex. Ron Wyden's been sitting on the intelligence community for a decade. What kind of teen fuckwad has been giving him intelligence for the last 10 years? And you're going to ridicule young people around Elon because they're looking into the corruption finally? Question these people that are questioning Elon right now. The Whitney Webbs, these little black pillar spiders. They just web little weaves, little poisonous little brown recluse spiders, the Whitney Webbs. And then the Derek Broge, the Broge anarchist who's growing his avocados in Mexico to be a sovereign citizen. Oh, he can't get over technology. It's broke his little fragile anarchist minds. And they want to lash out and call it a Palantir mafia. They want to lash out and say, oh, big tech's doing this all on purpose to loot. Tell me, when somebody almost has $1 trillion with a T and in the $500 to $600 billion, do you think they're really worried about getting more hundreds of billions of dollars? I sure don't. I don't know about you. You get to a point with money where you can't spend it anymore. It's a real struggle to spend that kind of money. Now, granted, a few more rockets, but they also get subsidized with that, right? Now, as I defend Elon, I am taking a practical approach. I have issues with aluminum oxide raining down in our jet fuels, raining down in all of these space satellites. Everything that makes a re-entry is aluminum oxide. Aluminum is what they make it all out of. What else are they making it out of? You tell me. There could be some new top secret stuff. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but from what I understand, the aluminum and the barium and the calcium is creating silver skies. It's in the jet fuel and it's used in all commercial flights, all rockets and satellites that come down into our atmosphere are raining aluminum oxide. I also don't like lithium batteries. I don't like lithium batteries. Okay? They're explosive. They're not sustainable. They're not green, right? I mean, how is child labor in the Congo digging up cobalt green and sustainable? Child labor's cool with the neoliberals when it's creating this illusional, disposable, green, overpriced EV car where the battery dies in 15 years and can't be replaced. You got to buy a new one. And then what do? You got to go bury your lithium batteries in the desert, just like you're burying the used up windmill blades in the desert. They don't use those either, dipshits. Nothing's green about this global carbon capture tax scam that's run really like a mafia. But you'll see these Whitney Webbs and these bros, and there's a whole bunch of these little twerps that pop into the chats everywhere I'm at. They were in last night, got me pissed off. Last night they were in Dark Journalist. Dark Journalist does usually a Friday night. He does about UF Files and JFK. If you haven't heard of Dark Journalist, get on over to Dark Journalist. This guy, Daniel, is just exceptional. I think he's a professor on the East Coast. I'm not totally sure, but I don't think he's in the intelligence community. He used to write a lot of stuff about, technology and things. The guy's smart, but his whole show is he's tying in what's going on with the UFO files. That is directly connected to a lot of these Department of Defense secret fundings, the DARPA and the US aid going into these regime changes. It's actually all connected into this cabal. It's going to come out of the Pentagon. So you're going to see, like Dr. Strangelove, you're going to see some General Rippers who are loaded on whiskey and oiling their gun, and the long black and white shots in Dr. Strangelove talking about zapping our precious bodily fluids. You're going to see some of these General Rippers popping out of the Pentagon. They may have some of their boys coming in going pew, 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 pew. Or it may be Star Wars zapping. Maybe that's what we're going on right now. Maybe that's what we're seeing right now. Just for a second, think about that. Maybe gunpowder and ammo is outdated, and maybe we're looking at direct energy weapons. We know Raytheon has that, and they're using it because it's on their website. You mean they got direct energy weapons for sale? Yeah, it's on the Raytheon website. Do a little more research before you call them conspiracy theory. They're advertising them on the website, Larry. Take a look at it. That stuff is real. And Elon has already far exceeded his expectations. It doesn't matter that I think lithium batteries are a scam. It does matter that there's aluminum raining down, because that's going to give us Alzheimer's in our children who are 20 and 30 years old. None of us want our children with Alzheimer's at 20 or 30 years old. Do you? No, you don't. Let's address that. Let's address the jet fuel. But those are side notes when we look at big balls and Team Big Balls with Doge. I voted for this. I don't know. We are sick of the status quo, same old, same old. We are sick of small ball politicians just doing as they're told. We are ready for big balls. And that's what we've got. We've got these guys in there on the inside with big balls banging around like a pool table. And let's see what they get. Now, you got Rep AOC. She did a very long, I thought it was kind of, she was being held hostage, or it almost seemed like a suicidal vlog. She's very emotional. And with this Pisces, the emotional people are going to lose their minds. In fact, they're probably already lost their minds. It gets worse. 2 more weeks. And then we got Pisces, Sun, Moon, Mercury. We've already got Neptune. They've already got all this huge cluster, Pisces cluster of sobbing, crying, triggered big ball personality disorder triggering is going to hatch out of wherever big ball people are hiding, wherever these people that are just whacked out of their noodles and can't come outside, purple hair, and they're under the blankets, wherever the fuck they are, they're coming out. And they're going to come out sobbing and crying and on the emotional attack. And I hate to say it, because it sounds like fear mongering. I'm just being a realist, okay? I'm not trying to. I want to alert you. I don't want to scare you. I want you to be prepared, because it's coming. It's going to get worse. And with the water, we got Look at all the airplanes going down in water. Helicopters, airplanes. There was one up in Alaska. I was very serious, LTR with an Alaskan girl. Well, more than one, but let's just talk about one. And she was from Nome. She used to talk about Nome. Well, that plane was going to Nome, and it went down. And there's been so many of these things. So many people have died from avalanches. Last time that I was talking on video, doing a little vlog, doing my little video log, I was talking about snow and the jet stream, the fire hose and the snow machine. It's coming again. And everything that I said, obviously there's going to be avalanches. You don't need to be a psychic gypsy palm breeder to see that we've got a snow machine and it's going to be avalanches when the snow machine sprays 15 feet onto a mountainside. But it happened, didn't it? Some of the obvious things we can call out, and it happens. It's still happening. People have narrowly survived. I posted a video on X. There's a couple of them. There was more than I even thought there could be. There was like 7 avalanches in one Italian spot. I was like, wow, yeah. Not only was there avalanches coming, it was all over the effing planet. Japan got buried. They'll probably have avalanches or already had them. We haven't read it in the press. Japan got it buried their cars. I saw the video on X. You can't dispute the ground reports on X. So, but let me wrap it up here 30 minutes. Let me get back to Elon and do a little more defense on him. We need investigation. These nerdy guys with the big balls, they're supposed to be young. Like, that's a big deal. I mean, they had all these young, over hypersexualized, over deviants parading around with sex changes and half naked on the Biden's front lawn at the White House. If you don't remember that, video is forever. I'll never get over seeing those pictures. They're celebrating hypersexualized young people naked on the White House lawn. You know, the Bidens have got a thing for naked children, right? Unfortunately. And that was cool to all these Democrats. These young kids were cool. Half naked and chopping body parts off. That was hella cool, bro. Now when we're investigating U.S. aid and all this fuckery around the planet and right here, again, let me go back on the loop on the Soros. It turns out Soros wasn't doing it all by himself, on his own. Was he? No, he wasn't. George Soros was getting funneled in millions of dollars from our tax dollars, your tax dollars, to come and fuck with us in social engineered lunacy. Yes, Soros. So you got all these people hyping up this great Jewish conspiracy, and we're all controlled by this small group of AIPAC, which is just really a little insignificant little. Now, granted, they are controlling some politicians. So is China. Turns out our own deep state at U.S. aid was our own worst enemy, not Soros. Soros was sucking the tits of our U.S. aid. Okay, so that's going to help with the clarity here in coming weeks as we've been blaming Soros for everything. Got a real reality check here with what the AV boys at the Doge big ball department have uncovered with U.S. aid. That in itself, Elon has over exceeded himself and talents. Not as a negative, not as this Democrats triggering lunacy, but as a positive because they're digging up the dead bodies of deep state, which is mostly Democrats and neoliberals. There's rhinos in there. Oh, you better believe there's rhinos in there. Look at Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney backed the Democrat. The Bush family and the Cheney family backed Kamala, the cackling, wine, pill-popping lunatic, because they were scared to death of the big ball department at Doge. Kaboom! Big balls. Gonna land right on your face, Liz Cheney. Boom, boom, boom. That's what they're afraid of, and that's what we got. This is not a time to be naysayers. This is not a time for black-pilling, depressed, bridge-jumping lunatics. Go do what you got to do. We're done talking you off the ledge. I don't want you to drop. I don't want you to jump, but stay the fuck off of attacking us, patriots, that are here standing with the big ball department with Doge. We're standing with Elon on these issues of investigation and fighting corruption and money. There's some other things I'm going to have issues with Elon, but we're going to sit down and we're going to have a talk. I'd like to go work for him down there. I told him for oil, canvas, and an art studio, I'll work for free. And there's plenty of other artists that'll come work for free, Elon. I know you got autists. You call them autists. It's the autist department. You've got them working there, and I support them. This is not a time to be ableist, ridiculing people with disabilities. This is a time to let the disabled run wild through the departments of the government. Don't stop them now. They're just getting started. And with Rep AOC, I'm glad she's in counseling. I'm glad she's in therapy. We all knew that she needed it. She got triggered from the past abuse, and we all do. If we don't deal with the childhood, if we don't deal with all this other stuff that people carry around for decades, unfortunately, it's best to deal with that stuff when you're younger. But if you don't, and that's pretty common for a lot of people, you've got to deal with it eventually. And that's what Rep AOC is dealing with. She's dealing with the reality check that she was on the wrong side of history. She's on the wrong political party, and she was advocating and telling people they couldn't have steaks and bacon because of cow farts. She had people at her town halls saying they've got to eat the babies because the babies got cow farts and methane. So eat the babies. Rep AOC never corrected anybody that wanted to eat the babies. She was cool with that. It's like eugenics 101. If you're not disputing people eating their babies, you're on the wrong side of history. You're a eugenicist. You're standing with Bill Gates. So you can't say you're for the children. You can't say you're for the people. You're standing with the overlords who are trying to kill billions and billions of people in their own records on 2030, 2035. Their own UN records and agenda. It says very clearly, billions of us have to go. And there's no quicker way to do it. Bing, bing, bing. New experimental therapeutics. Oh, yes. How wonderful science is. How wonderful the scientists have brought us new experimental therapeutics. Oh, don't you feel strong? Boy, I'll tell you, what doesn't kill you, it'll make you stronger. So I'm going to cut it right there. We'll do another discussion about Pisces. Pisces also a spiritual signal. Yes. And Barbara is with the Grand Wizard Astro reader there. You bet. I've been listening to Pam, there's a couple of them. There's Molly McCord, Astro. She's pretty good too. She's got some psychic abilities. And Molly McCord, Pam, I want to say Pam Greer. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I like Pam a lot. She reminds me of Julia Cameron, who's like one of my favorite. She wrote The Artist's Way, The Path to Higher Creativity, or The Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity, or whatever that is exactly. It's a good book. And so, Rep AOC, she rips into Elon. Everyone's terrified of big balls and Doge and Elon. They're not the bad guys. Even if they have some associates with Palantir and some of these other guys. Now, don't get me wrong. Let me say this. I guess I'll just keep it going. Is that there are some people around Donnie who are trying to dupe him again. And there's like this mRNA, these guys that are trying to come in with saying they're going to cure cancer with mRNA, and they need to create a database, and they even did a presser out of the White House. What the fuck? I mean, that's nuts. Oddly enough, people that aren't paying attention, Elon doesn't like those guys. Elon doesn't like Sam Altman. Elon doesn't, they're in battle. There's competition. There's AI wars that are going on right now. This is kind of like even another layer to the black hats versus the white hats. But that's how I interpret this. And I know it's kind of cheesy, and I know that that was exploited by the QAnon, back 4chan, 8chan back channels, the white hats and black hats, all this crap. But the metaphor really sticks today. It's really proven itself true because there is good people. What's the motive? This is what we want to do is what's the motive, okay? Donnie's a good guy with a good motive. He's a patriot. He likes America. He's invested here. He doesn't, even though he has motels in different countries, his objective is not to join and be a part of these globalists. Donnie's objective is to protect sovereignty here in America, which is his resources and what he's invested in. Just like any property owner. But he's got big property owners, right? He's a big property owner. So these people have everything to lose. That's who we want. That's who's on our side. That's the team. Now, we don't have to like everything about them. We don't even have to like the personalities. But to understand that this fear-mongering that Rep AOC has just been doing on her little, I didn't even know she was on YouTube. I knew she was on Instagram, but I've seen a bunch of discussion. She popped up again. Someone said she was depressed and suicidal. And I was like, oh, brother. It's not true. Her video lays it out where she's at. She gives people advice. She's really looking at it as like a crisis counselor. She has Sandy, her real name Sandy, AOC, she has really developed from a bartender really is a crisis counselor. So she's refined and developing her bartender skills, who now she's become this wealthy millionaire. God only knows how that happened, huh, Sandy? That happened pretty fast, girl. Right? That needs to be investigated, not just with her, but all the guys, especially here in Oregon with Wyden and his wife and his son and all that criminal tax evasion, not the tax evasion, it's the insider stock, probably tax evasion too, the insider stock trading. If you're going to lock up Martha Stewart, Ron Wyden's family's done far more than Martha Stewart. Let's lock up Ron Wyden. He's a friggin' senator. Martha Stewart was never a senator. My God, we got to get these guys out of representing Oregon because they're not representing Oregon. We got to get these guys out of Congress one way or another, legally and peacefully, at the ballot or federal indictments. What's wrong with that, big balls? Let the indictments flow. All right, that's a good spot. Peace out. Cheers.